Todd, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Todd, mate, were you actually involved in blowing the whistle on this, were you?
Yes, I actually put out a release last week, Michael, about this. And like you, I was actually quite surprised because you, in your intro there, you talked about the 1st of August, Health New Zealand actually came out and said for wait lists for hospitals, we're actually going to drop ethnicity as a prioritisation tool. They actually acknowledged that it had limited or no effect and it actually wasn't that useful. And then we saw this, what happened in the Hawke's Bay, where again, ethnicity was put into one of the factors for these free GP visits for ages, 14 to 24.
So if Hawke's Bay is doing it, how many other health areas or districts are doing it as well?
Well, I hope none are, Michael, and it might be a little bit naive, but if other examples come up, we'll certainly be pushing back. I mean, ACT has been very clear, and again, we talked about this, we want to prioritise all public services on need, not race. And in fact, there's going to be a memo going out to, in fact, all government departments reiterating that. And look, one of the reasons, actually, Michael, is because it's a very lazy, particularly in health, it's actually a very lazy way of doing things, and it doesn't actually get to the heart of the people who actually need to access the services. There are much better determinants of whether someone should actually have access to health services than race. It's just not appropriate.
The East Coast MP for, I think, the only Labour Maori MP, in actual fact, of the Maori seats, Kushla Tanare Manuel, says there are good reasons to target Maori in the health system because we've seen in decades past, quote unquote, that Maori and Pacifica have not had that access. That's why we have poor health statistics. Do you agree?
Well, no, I don't, because I think if people need access to health services, there are actually much better determinants, right? And things like, what is the quality of their housing? How far are they away from health services? What have they accessed in the past? In fact, one of the ones that's now being an appropriate one that's being used in the group of 14 to 24-year-olds is, do they have a long-term diagnosed condition, right? So, there are much better ways of actually targeting who needs the scarce resources of our health system to actually get better outcomes.
Now, our Health Hawke's Bay, I don't know what our Health Hawke's Bay is. Is it what, the Te Whātua Ora or Ministry of Health sort of management structure in Hawke's Bay, or is it private sector? It must be the first.
My understanding, Michael, is it was Te Whātua Ora, Health New Zealand, making funding available for these free GP and registered nurse services.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So the answer seems to be our Health Hawke's Bay is the old Hawke's Bay District Health Board. So yeah, I got you. All right. Now, it's a very deprived area. It's got two particularly deprived areas, one in Hastings, one in Napier, Marae Nui, which is, it's almost a gang suburb now, in Napier, and ditto West Flaxmere and Flaxmere in Hastings. Your argument is, well, those people between 14 and 24 don't need free service. They need to deal with a lot of other problems in their lives. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, some of them do need free service, and so there are still some people that are eligible, some people in that age bracket. But what the eligibility is actually based on things that actually determine their need to healthcare services. So things like if they hold a community services card, or if they are in a low socioeconomic area, that's where they live. And as I said, the other big one is they're actually diagnosed with a long-term chronic health condition, so something like diabetes or some kind of cardiovascular disease, where they actually do need to see a GP or a nurse and be monitored. So they're much better and more sensible ways to be targeting support than using race, which is a very blunt and lazy kind of tool.
Do you get the feeling, certainly I do, that despite having been elected for 11 months, this coalition government's policies, which are colour and culture blind in terms of need and health, are being actively resisted by senior and middle management on the ground?
Look, I think we might be seeing pockets of that, Michael. I won't deny that. I mean, again, I'm just the ACT spokesperson on health, but people do come to me with different cases of things that they aren't very happy about. And again, I've got to say, the government actually wants to make sure that New Zealanders that need help get it, right? I mean, we're not against any particular person or race or anything. We're exactly like you said, we're agnostic, or we're trying to be fair to everyone. And so, if you actually want to see health outcomes, better health outcomes in our health system, we've actually got to get in and target the actual New Zealanders who need that help. And that's what we're trying to do by, getting rid of this having this need not race position. And then let's actually look at the problems that different communities and different cohorts of New Zealanders are facing. And let's actually get in there and sort them out, and not just say, well, you're one ethnicity or another, and that's how we're going to do these things. Let's actually talk about the actual problems and issues and the needs of Kiwis.
Yeah, I've just got a text here from Tina. She says, I live in Havelock North, which is the opposite end of the Flaxmere and Hastings, as you probably know, Todd. Upmarket, decile 10, I think, is well advanced in the equity index.
Yeah.
And she says, my children will not get free doctor visits. Before the change, the large Maori family renting next door would be free. Yet they live in a beautiful suburb, which they can obviously afford. They use our local schools and resources. They can afford a visit to the doctor. I have to pay, they don't. This seems inherently unfair.
Yep. Well, absolutely. I mean, she's obviously there talking about family in her community who are looking after themselves and their children and their own healthcare needs and education needs, it sounds like. And yeah, people don't want to be singled out because they're one particular race or another. There will be in this another part of the area, there will be poor European families or poor Asian families who actually have genuine healthcare needs. So let's actually target the healthcare needs and not the race.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because throughout New Zealand, and I don't mean to be contradictory here at all, but there are Maori health services and Maori health agencies and Maori health GPs specifically set up to cater for the Maori community. Many of those services are free, provided by those primary health organisations, provided with funding from the taxpayer and the Ministry of Health. Isn't that still another area where New Zealanders could feel rightly aggrieved that not all folk are being treated equally?
Look, I think over time, I think we might see some changes in that area, Michael. But look, I don't actually, if a community wants to set up a health service that caters for maybe the cultural differences of a particular community, because what we're talking about then is actually ensuring that people feel comfortable to present to a GP or a nurse and actually have their health issues dealt with. I see that as a slightly different thing. That's actually, providing services where people want to access them and they feel comfortable accessing them. And I think that's entirely appropriate. What we don't want, though, is, blanket funding just based on race across New Zealand.